Hail and well met. This is Arm Bushido for Dry Sucks AR, and welcome back. Here we are again. I decided to do a little video here on a plane that I enjoy to fly, but still learning very much so. This is the 129 Bravo 3 HS. This little bugger, what makes it so phenomenal is, if you can't tell, is the underpod gun. You could almost say this is the grandfather of the A-10. Now, that's not to say there wasn't other planes that have been equipped with guns under the pods. Of course, the Stukas always have the 37s, and even oops, wrong button. Where's my 2? Damn it. One second, sorry. There's the B2 right there. Okay, so let's pull up the B2, which has the 37. However, it doesn't. Well, before we do that, let's just get a little history. So let's look at the Hs129B-3. Okay, so let's pull up Wikipedia and kind of go through. Now, of course, there was 3 models, and you can kind of go over the development. I don't want to go into the prototypes until we hit the actual planes. So you have the B1 and the B2, and really the difference between the B1 and B2, not a whole lot. There is some things that eventually you can kind of tell the differences, but for the most part, they both carried the 3.7 automatic cannons, which is pretty effective for early armored vehicles, and of course any thin-skinned vehicle. Definitely, you know, you'll think of your open turret vehicles also, like an M18 Hellcat, things like that. You are very good with. But it definitely gets outclassed quick on the heavier tanks. You know, even coming from top down onto the deck, the 37s are just not quite there to penetrate, and they might do some damage, but you're probably not going to knock the vehicle out. Now, that's to say, of course, with these planes, there wasn't a lot made for Germany overall. And by the time they even get to the 3, really only 25 are ever delivered to the front. Now, again, it's Wikipedia. You got to take a lot of it with a grain of salt, because one of the things they say that this was the heaviest and most powerful foreign fighting production military aircraft in World War II. I think right now, and again, Wikipedia isn't the know-it-all end-all. I believe in the Italian tree coming, the next patch. There is a plane mounted with a 102. I know it's really weird. It's really weird. I can't remember off the top of my head. I know it's there, but maybe, again, referring to this, maybe this a plane that actually shall combat. Because according to Wikipedia, you know, there were 25 of these on the Eastern Front, and they seem to prove pretty effective, but definitely not a war changer. Just not the numbers there. It's going to really do much with it. So anyway, but like I said, kind of you might say the forefather of the A-10. It actually did have a reinforced cockpit, you know, and then with the 75 on here, now you get a tank-killing aircraft, especially coming from the top down. And I'll admit, I'm still learning to use it. Anyway, I will put the Wikipedia in the notes. I don't want to go into too much detail. Everybody can kind of read and interpret here what you know, what is being said. I'm not going to sit here and use my voice to regurgitate a lot of things. I just want to hit on a couple of key points. You know, this is a PAC 40, fully automatic, kind of the first used. And it was also, it seems like it was down on the Junkers JU-88P1. But anyway, there is some really cool diagrams if you search, and I meant to pull one of those up real quick. Dang it, I forgot about that. But it kind of showed how the mechanism worked and how the shell came out of the back end. Anyway, let's go back to the, where's my 3? There we go. and I'm still working this plane. So let's really go over the heart meat of it all. Is how does it perform in game? And again, I am not the aircraft aficionado. I am not. Of course, its max speed is 410 kilometers an hour. Max altitude, all right. Turn rate, climb rate. Yeah, it's a flying gun. Okay, I'm gonna tell you right now, this plane is nose heavy as hell. Obviously, it also turns like it like a semi truck. It just does not turn very well. And then because of the nose weight, coming into your dive onto your target, you've got to be conscious. This thing is not going to come out like a Stuka. This thing you definitely got to bring down your plane lower, not such a steep dive, and try to pull out of it. It's tough. And then lining up your shot becomes even greater tough. I found I almost have to lean up just a little bit, or the shot will drift down. As the plane, especially as I'm coming out of a bank, you need to get a good approach. And all this sounds great, and then you're getting fired at. So, and I'll admit I have not perfected it, but I'm getting a little better. I am getting better. Looking at the armor of the aircraft again, it is an aircraft. But as you can see, this canopy, for an aircraft, 12 millimeters of steel in the nose, very good. And then, I don't know if they show you the glass. Yes, look. There we go. I got one. I can get it. Let me zoom in. This is what is even more amazing. Look at that. 75 millimeters of bulletproof glass. That is just phenomenal. I can't quite highlight the rest. But still, very much, for an aircraft, normally when you do, you just don't get anything. You're just not getting anything. And for this thing here, this again was the grandfather of the A-10. This is just a really cool little aircraft. And of course, you can do the X-ray, see the gun. Of course, what is your vital components? Of course, the gun. And what happened was this was your fuel tank. This was your offensive magazine. Now it does say 13. Wikipedia says 12. I'm assuming that means 12 in the cylinder and one actually chambered before you take off. That would equal 13 because the Wikipedia says the cylinder had 12. So I'm assuming Gaijin is giving you the benefit of the doubt of having one already preloaded. And then what it would do is it would eject out this back port. And again, this gun, even for its time, is actually way ahead of its time. Probably the biggest drawback for this plane. Oops, sorry, let's turn back off the X-ray. There we go. Sorry, guys. Probably the biggest drawback for this plane. One, yes, it flies like a boat. We all know that. But it's probably a little underpowered with these engines. And what I mean by that, first off, flying this plane when no damage is on it is a challenge to get your shot lined up, all that. But to fly it with only one engine becomes a monumental task, and actually just even keeping it in the air is a super challenge. Most likely, I have found that to keep it in the air, I got to push WEP to the max, and then I usually overheat the other engine. Most likely, I'm going down. And again, I'm not a big fan of kamikazing or anything like that, but at that point I know I'm not going back to the airway, so I try to at least get a shot lined up, try to take somebody out before I bit into good old Mother Earth. So with that being said too, whenever I do a lineup, and I'm taking this plane currently, I try not to take off and fly it unless I know there's a few of my teammates in the air already with fighters to cover me, because priority to target in any RB battle should be other fighters. Get them out of the road first, and then I always go on hunter. Everybody wants to destroy the T-29, whatever, the Centurion, but try to get rid of the AA. If you can eliminate those threats, you can have a pretty easy day. That's not saying a tank's coax can't shoot you down, but it is definitely a lot easier to maneuver. However, this plane is not going to be doing any fighter-on-fighter action. In fact, you want to steer as far clear of any fighter out there. You will just get outmaneuvered and just trashed. So, and that goes to say for AA, you're not that maneuverable, and AA can get tracking on you pretty easy if you're not careful, especially if you're coming on an approach. So be mindful of the AA. So I don't like to just go up and be the only aircraft up there. Again, I try to plan it out and try not to, one, I'm always thinking about my team and not, am I screwing my team by taking this plane out when I should be down on the ground with a tank? Because a lot of times we all get too many planes, too many tanks up there, and it just becomes too much. But anyway, I just wanted to display this plane because this has just become, as I learn it, is becoming one of my all-time favorite aircraft to fly. It's just a real challenge to see, can I take out that vehicle with a shot through the, I usually try to approach, and again, doesn't always work out, but I usually try to approach from rear deck to front, and I usually try to aim to the front of the tank, and usually I'll end up hitting back on the rear deck. And I've done this a couple times. I couldn't quite get all the footage. What I'm going to show you here in a minute is some of the footage I've captured, and showing how it can be unwieldy to fly, and also how it can just destroy a target in one hit. And I haven't quite gotten all the footage. Going through my replays trying to find the right stuff to show you. I can't seem to find it all yet, but hopefully I'll have enough footage to show you some really good shots. But again, this, if you have not tried this aircraft or worked your way to it, I highly recommend it. It is just very unique, especially in the line. Like I said, I do have all the Stukas all the way to let me find the other Stuka I want. That one? Nope, not that one. Sorry, guys. What one was it? Where's my favorite Stuka? There he is, the G2, right there. Now this, just real quick, these are improved 37s. They are not the same 37s that are on the B2. These 37s on the Stuka are actually more advanced and actually fire armor-piercing rounds. So they can actually take out some of the more higher-up tanks later on. And it's really good to fly, too. Again, very limited ammo. And I actually find lining the Stuka up a little harder. But again, I got pretty good at it after a while. But again, I think this one has become my new best friend. And as I slowly unlock all this stuff, I'm not quite there yet. But anyway, guys, we're going to roll some footage here. Remember, all enemy target markers are due to the replay. I leave them on just so you kind of have a good idea of where vehicles are at in relationship. But while I was flying, there is no markers. It is an RB battle. Anyway, this is Arm Bushido. I hope you all enjoy the footage. Please give a thumbs up, thumbs down, subscribe, and may Odin welcome you to Valhalla.